Well, hello again, and thank you for joining the HeadStarter Spotlight series for the Hedera space. This is our 10th edition, and we are so glad to have with us two incredible individuals. We have first Andy, who you just heard, but I think Andy doesn't need any introduction with the HBAR variants. But what we're excited about really tonight is that he is here to talk about the much anticipated Citadel Wallet that he is leading as a founder, and also about the upcoming Guardians of the Citadel INO, which is happening right here on HeadStarter. Alongside Andy, we have our next guest speaker tonight, who is Erich Grant, and he is the CEO of C14. And if you haven't caught it already on our Twitter handle, we've just recently announced a partnership with C14. So what does C14 do? Well, they've recently integrated Hedera into their product offering, enabling users to access digital assets like HBAR and USDC using the most adopted fiat payment methods in their country. Currently, C14 on-ramp is available in the USA, in EU, Canada, and Brazil. But tonight we will learn more about Erich and C14 and their plans for expansion to grow the Hedera adoption. And finally, we have Tudor, CEO and founder of HeadStarter, who's been doing those spaces for over 9 months right now. Tudor, so take it away.
Thanks, man. That was very comprehensive. I think it's more than 9 months now. I think it's been more than 9 months since we formally had the TGE. But we've been in space for some time. Time flies, and you know what we always say: crypto is 1 day per hour. So feels like a lot longer time has passed since. So this is the Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight series, and we do these spaces generally every couple of weeks, in which we try to highlight some of the leading projects that are building in the space or are coming to the Hedera ecosystem, and trying to put really the lights up on the founders and their initiatives to grow and continue to develop the space. Without further ado, let's go and have some formal introductions. Let's first hear from Erich. Thanks for joining us today. Would you mind giving us a short intro about yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I'm the founder of C14. I founded the company a little bit over a year ago, and my goal was to build a tool that would allow users all over the world to ramp into new and exciting digital assets. We announced our partnership with Hedera, I'd say about 6 weeks ago, and we've been really overwhelmed by the reaction from the community. Right now, our service is live in the European Union, in Canada, in the United States. That's for credit and debit cards. We're also live in Brazil, where we can accept PIX payments, which is their local banking system, local banking rail. Over the next few weeks, we'll be rolling out new payment rails, including bank transfer rails in Mexico, as well as additional card presentment currencies in Hong Kong, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, and a few more places in Latin America. I think that we're still at the very beginning of this journey, and one of the things we want to do is not just make it easy for users in different geographies to get crypto, but also increase the types of assets that they're able to buy. And that's why we're so excited to be partnering with HeadStarter. When there's new projects that have their own unique tokens, we'd be delighted to work with them to make those tokens easily available to the broader public. So very early days still, but we're excited about what we're building, and we're looking forward to continuing the journey.
Thank you very much for that, and obviously it's your addition to the Hedera ecosystem has been very valuable now, having on and off ramps in certain geographies, and obviously you are working on expanding them. I think it's very important in order for us to be able to have more ecosystem participants as we continue to develop use cases and applications going forward. And this partnership couldn't come at a better place and time, because not only will C14 be at the forefront of the leading projects that will be launching on Hedera, but the integration is coming right in time in order to facilitate any user's participation in the upcoming Citadel Wallet NFT drop. And Andy is the founder, as we said multiple times, of the Citadel Wallet project, and we'd like to hear a short intro about yourself, Andy, please.
Yeah, sure. Community knows me as HBAR to the moon. I've been a community member right from the beginning. My personal background, for people who don't know, I'm an electrical engineer myself. I've been working in the industry for 6 to 7 years, mainly focused in automotive industry and military industry. Currently working on some projects that involve very high security, mission critical applications and systems dedicated to aircraft, for aircraft use, such as video processing, data processing systems, which you can imagine for anything that goes on an aircraft has to be very secure. And a lot of the systems that we build are very focused on security, and there's a lot of encryption to make sure that the data that's going into the system and flowing through the system and then eventually gets stored all has to go through encryption processes. So security has been in the back of my mind all this time building the systems. And then getting involved with the crypto industry more, specifically Hedera Ecosystem. I wanted to build something for Hedera Ecosystem. I wanted to bring my knowledge and expertise to this field, and I couldn't find any better way than building a hardware wallet, which is a hardware electronic device, which I have the experience to build. But at the same time, it's going to be such an important tool and device for the users who are interacting with the network on a daily basis. And that's how the evolution of me goes, starting being just a fan of the network, and then slowly thinking of doing even more and building applications. And here we are making a lot of progress on Citadel Wallet already, and getting excited for the upcoming mint on HeadStarter.
Yeah, exciting indeed, and we're looking to dive a bit deeper into the Citadel Wallet project, the NFT drop. Also, dive deeper into our friends at C14. And we'll continue to ask our questions between me and Ben for our invitees today, but this is an open space, and if anybody wants to jump in and has any questions about the Citadel Wallet, the Knights of the Citadel NFT drop that's coming on HeadStarter, about C14 and their payment integration, please feel free to request to be a speaker. We'll have you up, and we're very excited to hear your thoughts. And this space today, we generally run it for an hour, but we will try to make sure that we cater for any angle that might come up. So speaking about the project, Erich, what inspired you to start C14? Where do you see yourself going with it?
Yeah, there were two real sources of inspiration for me. Before I started C14, I worked at Wire, and I was the director of business development there. And Wire was obviously a very important player, or I guess is still a very important player in the fiat ramping space. before I was at Wire, I was at excuse me, Paxful, which was at the time the world's largest peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange, and it was very focused on emerging markets. So we had a lot of clients in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and I saw that there was a tremendous amount of demand for digital assets in these emerging markets, but they didn't really have a great way to get them. And so they were reliant on these peer-to-peer networks, which are hard to use, or are kind of expensive, and are risky. And that always stuck with me. And I thought, if someone could build a better tool that would enable users in these markets to buy crypto with the payment methods that they're used to, this would really do a lot for global adoption. And then when I was at Wire, we were obviously focused on credit and debit cards there, which are important for the European Union, for the United States, for Canada. But in most places, most people don't have credit cards, right? They're using new payment rails. They're using banking rails that are fast and cheap. They're using mobile money solutions. They're using wallets. And I wanted to sort of combine these things, right? So I wanted to build a tool that any Web3 project could embed on their website, on their DApp, and give them the ability to reach the broadest base of potential users as possible. So that's why we started with bank transfers in Brazil, which is called Pix. That's why we'll be doing bank transfers in Mexico using their system called SPAY next. And in the second quarter of this year, we intend to focus on adding bank transfer rails and mobile money rails in Southeast Asia and in Africa. It's very hard for most people to get crypto. I think we take it for granted that it's easy or simple, and in some places it is, but in most places it's not. And that was really the problem that I set out to solve. I've been doing this for, like I said, a little over a year now, and like you said, a day in crypto is like a year for normal people, right? So it's been a journey, and it feels like it's been a very long journey at times, but we're really excited about the progress we've made. We're getting great feedback from Brazilians who are using our service, and we're excited to see what happens next in Mexico. So that's kind of how I decided to do it. And what we're looking for is, we want to be a good partner for the organizations that we're working with. So if there's a project that is seeing a lot of users that want to on-ramp in from the Philippines, for example, or from India or Vietnam, we want to know that, and then we can go build those rails. The tools are all out there. They just need someone to put them in the right order. That's kind of how I look at it, and we're excited about what the future holds. We think there's a lot of great markets and opportunities for us to unlock.
That's a very tall order, and obviously a fascinating journey that you have embarked upon. And going from the onboarding of everyday users into the crypto world, going to the future of payments and money. Andy, I wanted to drive the conversation almost to you, because obviously I can see a lot of ways where there might be synergies in the future between C14 and a hardware wallet such as yours. But I want to ask you, from your perspective, as soon as we're able to onboard more people and we have the security on hardware wallets, how do you see the whole industry morphing into the way that we will be conducting payments in the future?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, one of the ways I was always thinking this hardware wallet can be used in the future would be just for making day-to-day payments, whether you're making payments to online shops or websites, retail websites, or you go to the store in person and make the payment similar to how you would handle it through your credit card. Now, instead of using the credit card, you would use this hardware wallet and just tap at the cash register and make your payment. To me personally, I think the payments will still stay similar. Not much will change in the front end for the customers. The experience has to stay very similar to what they're used to right now. To make that process very simple, a lot of crypto companies are trying to have their own credit cards or debit cards. So the experience is very similar for their users when they're trying to make those payments. And also, I think crypto is very volatile. So for the future of payments, even though a lot of this payment methods will move onto DLT networks, but we'll need stable coins and CBDCs to make those payments reliably. People on a day-to-day basis, they don't want to hold most of their funds in crypto because it's volatile. It can go up and down, but using these DLT technologies and networks as a payment network and move the fiat onto DLT such as Hedera, now it brings a lot of flexibility into and efficiency into traditional payment methods. So that has always been in the back of my mind, to have this hardware wallet serve as a similar to credit card type device as well. So people in the future can hold their NFTs, tokens, and volatile cryptocurrencies in the wallet, but at the same time serve it as a bank account. So they can be in custody of their fiat, which is stable coins or CBDCs, and make the payments on a day-to-day basis, whatever payments they need to do. And I also can see synergies with C14. People will need those kinds of services in the future for on-ramping into crypto. If they have fiat, they want to move into the crypto land, they would need a service like C14 to convert their fiat to a stable coin or HBAR. And then that HBAR or stable coin can directly go into the hardware wallet or another crypto account. From there, they can freely make the payments on their own at that point. So I definitely agree with that idea. The future is going to be very collaborative in this space, and different pieces of the puzzle will need to come together to make this industry a whole and fully operational, I believe.
Yeah, and there's some other fascinating discussions that we can derive from here when it comes to exchanges, how the future of centralized exchanges can become modular and really run on DeFi protocols or a conjunction of them. And yeah, it's definitely interesting, you know, when you think about payments and the payment rails that we have today, since one of our main topics that we're looking at right now is security, right, through a hardware wallet. Taking the concept of and how important it is to store your private keys, to be mindful of self-custody when it comes to being in crypto, utilizing the hardware wallet, in comparison to the payment rails that we have today, where you have if somebody steals your keys, there's an immediate access to. Sorry, if somebody steals your card, there's immediate access to your banking account. And they're all written in plain text directly on the plastic. Speaking of security, Andy, and you mentioned earlier that about your experience in very, I don't know, in an industry where security is at the forefront of innovation. Could you tell us a bit more about the safety rails that you have built in and designed into the Citadel wallet that really sets it apart from other hardware wallets out there in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. For hardware wallet industry, this is a very new industry, so there are no security standards really set, or there's no regulation on what security levels these devices need to meet to be able to be called a secure device. So a lot of times these hardware wallet companies, they come up with their own way of evaluating what the security of their device is. and providing to the community some level of confidence that this has met some kind of a security standard. But in military industry or avionic industry, there is certain levels of security that these systems need to meet, otherwise the government will not accept those systems. And we have built systems that are the highest level of security, NSA type 1 encrypted systems, which are highly classified systems, and not many people even have access to those systems. So having that background and knowledge in security, different types of security architectures and security standards. When I started looking into hardware wallet industry, I quickly realized there is a lack of standards. First of all, nobody knows what. It's very subjective when hardware wallet companies say our hardware wallet is secure. You don't know what to compare it with. The only security standard that's used in hardware wallet industry right now is the EAL 6 or 5 plus security levels, and those are just for the secure element of the hardware wallet. So it's a little misleading when hardware wallets are saying our secure element is classified to this level, which that chip is already made to meet those security standards. But there's a lot of other components in the hardware wallet that are just generic components. And there's a risk if those components get hacked, the hacker could still do something with your hardware wallet. For example, your private keys could be stored in the secure element securely. That's a tamper-proof chip. But if the hacker gets access to the microcontroller, which communicates with the secure element, they don't even need to have access to your private keys. They can just sign the transactions for you and send the HBARs or other crypto outside of the wallet. So I had to think about all of those different aspects and also look into the broader secure IoT ecosystem, because a lot of the devices, due to IoT industry taking off, are becoming very security minded and security focused. These are devices that connect to the cloud and are controlled by the users in their smart homes and other places. There is a lot of security issues associated with those kinds of devices. You don't want other people to get access to your smart refrigerator or smart TV or other things that are connected to the cloud. It can add security risks. So this IoT industry just in general has been coming up with new technologies and new ways to add that extra level of security. And I wanted to make sure that whatever components I use in this hardware wallet need to be very cutting edge with hardware level security built into those components already. Secure element that we're using is the cutting edge already. It's way higher security than, for example, something like Ledger is. But we also wanted to make sure that the microprocessor, which is basically the bridge with the external world to the display, to the PC or mobile device that you're connecting with, even that microprocessor, I wanted to make sure that it's very secure. And we were able to find a very cutting edge microprocessor based on M33 ARM core, which is specifically built with a lot of cryptographic features and hardware level. I don't want to get too technical, but there's a lot of hardware level isolations and protections built into the chip, which makes it very resistant to all kinds of different attacks. And in combination of the very secure element and secure microprocessor, and of course software and firmware written into that microprocessor is also very important. And we have partnered with HeadStarter software development arm to help build that secure firmware. I think this is going to elevate where the level of security that can achieved with hardware wallets in this ecosystem and industry, and hopefully people can take examples and make even their hardware wallets more secure.
That's very fascinating, Andy, and I appreciate your particular focus about in relation to the users' funds. So it's not only the components themselves that need to be secure; it's also the intercommunication between them. And obviously, when it comes to the lack of wallet support currently in the Hedera space, a question for both speakers today. Do you see that the lack of hardware wallet support for Hedera is deterring possible new market participants and projects from joining the space? And how do you think if we had such a device and more on ramps, how do you see the growth of the network going?
I think it's definitely been something that's held the ecosystem back. I think if you look at the different services that a user needs to interact with to, buy any digital asset, but anything on Hedera, a lot of those have been bundled together into exchanges, right? So the exchange provides the ramp for you to get into crypto. They provide the trading service where you can swap your assets, and they provide obviously custody. And it's a place where you can leave the asset and, at least in theory, not worry about it. I think what we've seen over the past year, obviously with exchanges blowing up and firms liquidating, is that the places that people used to think were safe are maybe not so safe. And I think there's a renewed emphasis on having your keys, self-custodying your assets, and not leaving your assets in the hands of some provider that ultimately you have no control over what they do. So I think that self-custody is an important part of people taking control of their finances and taking control of their money, and a hardware wallet is obviously a very secure way to do that. C14, we just provide the payments layer. So if a user wants to buy HBAR, we're happy to help facilitate that purchase and get them onboarded. But ultimately, that asset has to go live somewhere. And I think if it can live on a hardware wallet that's secure and safe, that will only speed the adoption and help us grow the ecosystem. So I think it's a big roadblock, or it has been a big roadblock. I'm very excited to see that it's being solved. And I think it's going to unlock a lot of growth as new users realize just how different this is from exchanges, or even what we've seen in the past couple days with the banking system. If you had money at Silicon Valley Bank last Friday, you really didn't know how much of that you were going to get on Monday, right? And I think a lot of people took that as a wake-up call of, it's time to take control of your own assets, it's time to take control of your own money. There's a responsibility that comes with that. It's not free. You have to work harder, but the reward is more safety.
I'm definitely with you there. Obviously, over in the Western world, people have been relatively sheltered from this type of implosions. But I do agree that given the latest actions, latest happenings in the macro space, that people should be waking up to the reality of the situation and the importance of self-custody, not only in crypto assets, but in holding your own funds and not necessarily trusting a third party. Andy, do you have any thoughts about Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, about the on-ramps like C14, those are really important for crypto industry to bring in new users. And those are the easiest way to bring in new users. If you want to just buy $10 worth of crypto and start experimenting and playing with these networks in a low risk way, I think on-ramps like C14 would be very important. just to bring people on so they get the taste of these networks and try to understand the benefits and advantages of these networks. And then from hardware wallet standpoint, from my personal experience, what I keep seeing in the community, in the ecosystem, I keep seeing people asking for hardware wallet support for their HBARs, so they can do the native staking, so they can participate on DeFi platforms, stake, provide liquidity to different liquidity pools on these DEXs. And a lot of people don't want to risk and move their assets from a hardware wallet into a software wallet just to be able to participate. So I believe with the availability of a hardware wallet that has support for all these different types of services, and service as simple as native staking, right now is not supported by any hardware wallet, and that service doesn't even require any smart contract signing. It's just a service native to Hedera network, which allows people to stake their HBARs directly to the network or proxy staking to the network and start earning rewards. But a lot of people who have a lot of HBARs in their accounts don't even want to risk and put their private keys into the software wallet, even momentarily, to sign that transaction and then remove it from the software wallet. So I think it's definitely going to bring a lot more participation, a lot more involvement from the community side. And one other thing I think is going to be important with hardware wallets is in NFT ecosystem. I see a lot of people starting to collect NFTs, and over time I have seen people having hundreds of NFTs in their accounts. They don't for some reason, people who are in NFT ecosystem don't feel the need to protect or secure these NFTs in a hardware wallet. Also, there is no support for NFTs to that extent, so they can freely use the hardware wallets, easily use the hardware wallets and interact with NFT platforms and ecosystems. But it's going to become really important for people to also store their NFTs on a hardware wallet. Because if you collect hundreds of NFTs over time, and some of these NFTs can have a lot of very high values, some people have NFTs that have more value than the HBARs they hold in their hardware wallet. So that's becoming another very risky and concerning thing that people are very careless about protecting and securing their NFTs. So overall, I think hardware wallet is going to bring that peace of mind to daily users, and if they can use the hardware wallet on a daily basis and sign any transactions they need, I can imagine more participation, more users even from Web 2 being interested in coming on board Web 3, because they know there is this easy way to interact with the network in a secure way that's not going to risk their funds.
That's very well said, and obviously we've been living with a lot of frustration for support of Hedera, whether that's on the hardware wallet side of things, where Hedera tokens are not supported at the moment, all the way to support for Hedera tokens from bigger exchanges, from the more traditional crypto on-ramps, and Erich was mentioning earlier, because there's only support for HBAR on Binance, on Coinbase, the smaller Hedera projects that you can for which the tokens you can interact with on a DEX typically can be rarely found on the bigger tier 1 type centralized exchanges. So that's another burden in itself, not to mention the fact that there is still no support across centralized exchanges for HUSDC. This was a blessing and a curse because of the during the exploit of 2 weeks ago. Ultimately for the better of the network, we need to open up support and stay less siloed as we've been so far. And It's great that you mentioned, Andy, upon the features that the Citadel Wallet will be supporting. But could you tell us a bit more about what we can expect as the functionalities that will be rolled out first in the hardware wallet with the first release, and what additions can we look forward to in the future?
Yeah, so when we go to market, we want to make sure that we support all the main services on the Hedera network, the ones that people use on a daily basis, and those are HBAR transfers, native staking is very important, smart contracts. We've been partnering with some of the DEXs and DeFi platforms, Stader, Saucer Swap, etc., to make sure that all the smart contracts that they have on their platforms are supported by the hardware wallet by the time we go to market, and we're planning to go to market by the end of this year. Other very important services, Hedera has the native token service, which comes as tokens and NFTs. Those have been becoming very popular. Projects try to create their own tokens to create their own in application or in-game token economies. Those are going to be very popular, and to give the ability to people to be able to also manage their tokens through the hardware wallet will be very important. And of course, NFTs are becoming one of the biggest use cases of crypto and blockchain networks just in general. And I think NFTs are going to become way bigger in the future. And there's so many different ways to utilize this NFTs, not just through art projects, but bring utility to your own brand, project, game. All kinds of different applications are possible. Even supply chain, we have been seeing some use cases coming on board. There are which use NFTs associated with products to track their lifetime throughout the supply chain. So NFTs are going to be the main focus. And we are going to support NFTs fully on Hedera. You need to associate NFTs. We'll support that as well. So you can receive NFTs based on the specific token IDs. Another really interesting service that Hedera has is the scheduled transactions. People use scheduled transactions on a daily basis without even knowing through Hashpack. Hashpack has this very cool feature called Secure Trade, and that allows people to peer-to-peer trade tokens and NFTs and HBARs without needing to use any smart contracts. And this service is built on top of scheduled transactions. And to be able to do that with the hardware wallet, we would need to also support scheduled transactions. But there's a lot of other different use cases that we'll start seeing pop up on Hedera network using that service, that specific service, which is not too popular right now. But we want to make sure that we also support scheduled transactions. Those are the main ones we'll be supporting at the launch. Hedera has some other really interesting services like consensus service or random number generation service. I don't think those are currently much needed from the community side, but we want to make sure we support those in the future as well.
Thanks for that, Andy. And by the way, this since we're closing in on the 15-minute mark of the spaces, I'd like to reiterate the invite for the community if you want to jump in and ask any questions. As a reminder to people who joined us later on, we have Andy from, or aka HBAR to the Moon, who's the founder of the Citadel wallet, the Hedera native hardware wallet, and Erich from C14, the newest partner of HeadStarter that is facilitating fiat to crypto on and off ramps where you can currently obtain your HBAR from, but in the future will also start supporting other HTS tokens. Sorry, I forgot to mention that you guys support HUSDC. Now, I wanted to ask you guys a question that has to do with obviously the utility of the hardware wallet. Now, I cannot help but imagine council members of Hedera using Citadel wallets in their day-to-day works in developing applications on top of Hedera Hashgraph. I can also imagine supply chain management being done through users that have to intermediately sign contracts from their hardware wallet, and Citadel wallet seems primed to fill up that gap. But how do you guys see the future of Hedera when it comes to a wider adoption in the modern day-to-day or mainstream life?
Yeah, I can go first. For enterprise adoption, yeah, the hardware wallets will be very important. I think at the enterprise level, what's going to be very popular is multi-sig on Hedera for decentralized autonomous organizations, for multiple participants to make decisions and sign the transactions together collectively. Multi-sig is another feature that we're thinking about to add to the hardware wallet. So if there's a coalition or organization of 10 or 15 people that all of them have to agree on something to make that decision or approve that decision, those kinds of high-level decisions can be handled through a secure hardware wallet, because you don't want those kinds of you don't want one or two hardware wallets to be hacked to sign transactions that eventually lead to wrong decisions. Those are going to be the types of applications on an enterprise level that these enterprises, even from Hedera, might be interested in. Another thing that I noticed is very important for enterprises, and they focus a lot on, is digital identity. And digital identity can be associated with people or electronic devices or other devices. If they want to keep track of certain IoT devices or electronic devices, or even packages that have this smart tags, NFC tags attached to them, they would need to know the identity of that a product or a device to be able to track them along their supply chain. And digital identity could be one of the most interesting use cases that might be interested in hardware wallets, or at least variation of the hardware wallet. What I was thinking with the Citadel hardware wallet, this is going to be the base product, but we can have other variations where we modify, or if there's an application that really doesn't even need the display, you could just have the secure components of the hardware wallet repurposed for that specific application, and that could turn into a completely different device. Enterprises will most likely would require some kind of customization of this device to meet their needs. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future we go to market and it validates the use case, they see the promise of this kinds of secure devices. I would be open to collaborations with even Hedera Council members and other enterprises working with Hedera.
That's fascinating, Andy. And speaking about identity and user verification, it's also important to discuss about the way that these checks are being done on the onboard rail. Erich, would you mind giving us a bit more information on how purchase of cryptocurrency is done on your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. Identity is a tricky issue because there's so many different ways to look at it, and typically when people talk about identity, they might be solving for different problems. So if you think about a fiat on-ramp, when we're trying to identify the user, what we're trying to do is make sure that this user is in a jurisdiction that we can support, that we're allowed to service. And perhaps more importantly, we want to make sure that the user is who they say they are to prevent fraudulent activity. It's a problem in the industry because if you have a stolen credit card, crypto is sort of the perfect thing to buy. You can move it almost anywhere. You can move it very quickly. You can resell it and get cash fast. So it's important for us to KYC our customers because that allows us to make sure that the people we're interacting with are who they say they are, and we're not inadvertently helping someone lose money. So we have to keep those considerations in mind, or had to keep those considerations in mind when we made our product. We require that users do a document submission and a face scan. It typically takes less than 10 seconds. And I know that that's unpopular. A lot of people don't want to do that, and I understand why. But it's a balancing act. We have to keep users safe. We have to make sure that the people we are interacting with are who they say they are. We base our system around the user's phone number. So once a user has transacted through C14 once, if they go and use C14 again on a different project or a different platform, all of that is stored so they can do a very quick, almost 3-click checkout experience. But it's a tricky issue. A lot of crypto is around privacy and decentralization. And we have to balance that against keeping users safe and staying compliant so that we can continue to offer the service. I think we've struck a good balance. I think our system is fast and easy to use. We're obviously constantly looking to make it better, faster, less intrusive, easier to use for new customers. And we're always looking for feedback. So if anybody uses it, thinks there's something we could be doing better than what we're doing, we'd love to hear it. And I think over time that identity will start to shift a little bit as people build reliable histories on chain. You might start to think of what does an on-chain identity look like versus what does a traditional Web 2 identity look like, and how can we use the data that's on chain to validate that these transactions are safe. I think that's where we're going. It will be a journey as all of this is, but I think we're moving towards a world where once you've established your Web3 identity, once people know who you are, you less and less have to validate that against your sort of Web 2 person, right? So yeah, that's what we're up to, and it's a great question. Thank you for asking.
And that opens up a fascinating conversation that unfortunately we don't have time to because the way that all this on-chain identity needs to be implemented is in a way that's non-intrusive. And we hate that we need to have to go through all these loops and checks and KYC and making sure that we stay regulatory compliant. We'd love for us to speed run into a zero knowledge check where people would need to open up only one segment that we need to particularly check for them to perform a certain activity on chain without even exposing their real identity. It's just that do you have a driver's license? You XYZ? Yes. Okay, that's good enough for me. I don't need to know who you are. I don't need any more information, and it could be done very well through a hardware wallet. I want to quickly shift the conversation around the upcoming Guardians of the Citadel INO on HeadStarter, and this is probably a first in Hedera space, and obviously an innovation in the Web3 crypto space. Because all NFTs that are being sold through the INO process have phygital counterparty or they have a physical counterparty in the amount of wallets that users will be able to claim. So Andy, would you like to give us a bit more context on how the whole process works?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I'm a huge fan of NFTs, and right from day one, I had a feeling that NFTs are going to be way bigger than how they have been used today. And I have started seeing some other projects doing something similar to what we're doing, not to the extent that we're trying to do. But when I was developing the hardware wallet, I wanted to come up with an interesting way to build a brand and build a strong community around this project. And I also noticed that other hardware wallets that are building just the hardware wallet product have hard time marketing and promoting the device, because it's just a simple electronic device that signs transactions. How do you take it to the next level and make it and give even more value to this product outside of just signing transaction? And I thought NFTs could be the best way to achieve this, and also seeing where everything is headed in Web3 and how many different ways there are to use NFTs. I was really excited to come up with an idea and combine NFTs with physical devices like the hardware wallet, and it just sounded really cool idea. Now we decided to have a full NFT collection built on top of Citadel Wallet, and the project is going to be called Guardians of the Citadel. The idea behind it that this Guardians, the Knights part of the collection will represent the hardware wallet. So when you buy the one of the Knights in the collection, they will come with hardware wallet or pack of 2 or 3. But also there is a kind of figurative idea behind it. These Knights will also protect your hardware wallet from any harmful attacks. We were thinking to create a world around these characters eventually, and maybe have them available in other games in the future, because these characters have been built with collaboration with very high quality AAA gaming artists, and they're kind of gaming ready. So if there is games that match the theme of these characters in the future, they can be used in those games too. It just gives that next dimension to a product that could have been just a simple hardware wallet, and people buy, use it, but don't really have anything else to do with it, and even engage with other people who are using this hardware wallet. Now with NFTs and this NFT collection, that is taken to a complete new level. And we do have a white paper available on our website. People can check it out. We have a 20-page white paper which lists all of the different utilities and benefits that will come with this NFTs. So it's not just the main utility is that when you buy the NFT, you pre-order the hardware wallets, and when they go to market, you will be able to claim them. But at the same time, you're getting other benefits such as discounts for future products and accessories, early access to future products, access to voting. In the future, I do want to leave the decision making to the community, what kind of other new services they want to bring to the hardware wallet. We can see with other hardware wallets, different communities ask for certain networks or features to be supported, and they are not really paid attention to. Now, if the NFT collection associated with the wallet has those kinds of voting powers, people can participate and cast their votes by owning part of the some of this collectible NFTs which come with voting powers. And there's a lot of other utilities that come with these NFTs, and I'm just excited to be launching those on HeadStarter at the end of this month. And it is a little bit of an experiment, but I think throughout the experiences that I had having other NFT projects and also observing NFT projects in the ecosystem trying out different things with NFTs, this could be a really good model for other Web2 or Web2 brands and companies and new Web3 companies to promote their projects, bring additional utility to their project through NFTs, and in general build a very vibrant and exciting community around it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Andy. I couldn't agree more. The NFT drop for Citadel Wallet through the Guardians of the Citadel is a statement to the versatility of the Web3 crowdfunding model that we can now leverage in a plethora of ways on HeadStarter. And I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a bit more about what is to be expected from the night. And I personally cannot wait to see my night NFT on the screen of my Citadel wallet. But could you tell us a bit more about the rarities there, and most importantly, how do I get to obtain the really cool looking gold knight?
Yeah, so the Knight collection is going to be Guardians of the Citadel is comprised of 10,000 different knights. Initially, we'll have a drop of about 4,800 knights. There is 4 different tiers of knights. There is the Ice Knight, the Fire Knight, Nature Knight, and then the Golden Knight, like you mentioned. First 3 tiers come with wallet. When you purchase Ice Knight, it will come with 1 hardware wallet. If you purchase the Fire Knight, it will come with a pack of 2, and then Nature Knight comes with a pack of 3. Now, NFTs are valued at the retail price of the hardware wallet or at the discounted price. So basically, if you were interested to buy the hardware wallet, now you'll typically get the NFTs for free because you're getting the hardware wallets with them, and most of the time they will be at the discounted price. The Golden Knight is the most special one and the most rare one. There will be only up to 600 Golden Knights, and those will be airdropped to people who have collected the full set of tier 1, 2, 3 and Knight. So if you hold 1 set, you will get 1 Golden Knight airdropped to that account for free.
Thanks for that, Andy. And obviously, all the purchases of these NFTs, which represent a virtual pre-sale for the Citadel wallet, can be purchased through HBAR, and it will be very convenient for everybody in case they need to top up on their HBAR amount to use the C14 widget that will soon be integrated on the HeadStarter DApp. We have gone over time. I would like to ask our 2 invitees today to leave us off with some parting thoughts, and we'll give it off to Ben afterwards for the outro.
Yep, thanks so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure to be on here. Excellent show. I'm looking forward to continuing to support the Hedera ecosystem as much as I can. And if you're interested in learning more about C14 and perhaps a partnership or how we might be able to work together, please just direct message us on Twitter, and we're happy to take it from there. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited where everything is headed in Hedera ecosystem. I've been in the community from the beginning. I have seen the evolution of the network, and it's just exciting how things are starting to take off, especially last year and 2. A lot of really cool projects are coming out from the ecosystem itself. People who've been early, like you, Tudor, you've been there with Hedera right from the beginning, believed in the network and the power of the network, and you have built your own project that is filling up the gap. There was a need for IDO and INO launchpads, and you have created that for the ecosystem now. And there is so many different people, so many other people from the community that have been building really cool applications to provide those extra level of services to the user. So it's not just about buying and trading HBAR. These networks are way more than just trading cryptocurrency. And I'm excited to be part of this whole journey by bringing something else from myself, hardware wallet. I think personally this is going to be a very important device and a tool for anybody involved in Web3 to have full control of your assets, being in self-custody, being the owner of your funds is one of the winning factors of Web3 just in general. And now having the security, because when you have to hold those keys on your own, there's a lot of risk. If you lose those keys, then you lose everything. So it's very important to provide those kinds of devices and services and features to be able to have the comfort of mind that your keys and accounts are safe and they're not going to get hacked and funds stolen. I'm just excited for what's to come in Hedera ecosystem and Web3 as a whole.
And just as a reminder, the INO for the Guardians of the Citadel is coming to HeadStarter live on the 29th of March. Right now, the project can be found in the HeadStarter app with full details under preparation form, and it will soon be switched to an upcoming project where you can see the visuals of the NFTs and the knights in all their glory. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Tudor, and a big thank you to both Andy and Erich for joining us and talking more about their projects. We really appreciate your time, guys. I know that it's sometimes taking a lot of your very precious time to be coming on the panel and sharing what you're doing to help grow the ecosystem. Lots of cool things happening in the space, as we've mentioned, and we look forward to seeing what exciting things both Citadel and C14 will unlock for all HBAR variants. I would like also to thank everybody who joined us on this space, and if you would like to listen to it again, because there is loads to unpack, you can head to our YouTube channel, where we have a collection of last episodes, and certainly we'll make sure that this one is also uploaded in near future. So please do give HBAR to the moon, aka Andy, the Citadel Wallet and the C14 team some love on their Twitter, and check their other socials to make sure that you do not miss out on anything coming up on their radar. Last words from me is to give you our next rendezvous for our HeadStarter Pulse, which is our bi-weekly community AMA, where we talk all things about HeadStarter and the team. Until then, take care, everybody.